Today's video describes the steps required to solve more complicated questions with ice tables and equilibrium constants. If you have information about the equilibrium constant and initial concentrations, you will be able to predict the equilibrium concentrations for the different reagents involved in equilibrium reactions. In this problem, you are given a reaction, some chemical amounts, the volume of a container, and an equilibrium constant. You are asked to calculate the amount of each substance at equilibrium. The question is asking for the amount in moles of both the reactants and products at equilibrium. You are given the chemical equation and the initial amount of each gas. In the first step, you need to figure out the initial concentrations. We use concentrations in the equilibrium expression, so this will always be the first step. The concentration is calculated from the moles and the volume of the container. The second step is to set up an ice table. The initial concentrations calculated in step 1 should be put in the initial row. X will be the change of the concentrations. The change will be positive for the products because we expect their amounts to increase. The change will be negative for the reactants because we expect their amounts to decrease. With the change, you will be able to write an expression for the concentration at equilibrium in terms of X. Next, you will need to use the equilibrium expression for the balanced equation to solve for X. Use the concentrations in terms of X for the equilibrium concentrations for each reagent. Once the value of X is determined, then the equilibrium concentrations can be calculated. In the final step, the concentration and volume of the container can be used to determine the total number of moles of each gas present. You can check your math by substituting the equilibrium concentrations back into your equilibrium expression. If you end up with the equilibrium constant, then your math was correct. After this lesson, you should be able to set up an ice table, but we will do more practice with this in class.